Welcome to the TruckVin.com podcast. As America's foremost truck buyer, we keep you informed on all topics regarding the trucking industry. We work with industry leaders to provide valuable insight. When you're ready to sell, call America's foremost truck buyer at 855-TRUCK-20 or visit TruckVin.com. And now, your host for the TruckVin.com podcast, Zach Ellis.
Good morning. Today is January 12th, 2023. Welcome to the TruckVin.com podcast. Today we're joined with our guest, Bill Kresser from Origin Bank. Bill is a senior vice president at Origin Bank. So if you guys are interested in learning anything about whether you're banking with a small bank, a regional bank, or maybe a large bank, Bill's going to answer some questions for you. But thank you guys for tuning in. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing great, man.
Awesome.
Good to be here.
So we're here at the Fort Worth office. We just got this new podcast studio done. So we're pretty excited to bring a lot of content, you know, whether we're talking with bankers, talking with trucking industry professionals, whether we're talking with, you know, industry leading CEOs, whoever it may be, we're excited to bring it to you. So we're going to spend some time here with Bill. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from? Where you started at? How'd you get into banking?
Okay, yeah, a little bit about just kind of growing up. I was born outside of Chicago, but then moved down here to Texas when I was young. So yeah, all the little sports teams and all that good stuff still root back to Chicago. Big White Sox fan, stuff like that. That's what I grew up with. Of course, Michael Jordan back in the day. That's what my dad watched. That's who he liked. That's who I like. So, awesome. But other than that, just, you know, being here in Fort Worth, Texas, wouldn't want to live anywhere else in the United States or in the world for that matter. Just love it here. You know, go Frogs. Super proud of them. Although their last game didn't end up the way we wanted it to, they had a great season, so that was awesome to see.
That was a rough game, man.
Yeah,
I turned it off at like 35-7. I said, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I turned it off at halftime. So. But, you know, just myself grew up playing sports. That's kind of my thing. I still play volleyball regularly now. Played soccer when I was younger. Got into triathlons in my late 30s, early 40s, did Ironman, all that kind of good stuff. But that kind of led me into just, you know, always challenging myself, working as a team, things like that. And I think that just kind of led me in the right path. My grandfather, he worked for a bank for his whole entire career. And when my mom mentioned, hey, why don't you just go get a job being a teller while I was in college?
Oh, wow.
So I was like, all right, sounds good. So worked in the afternoons in a remote drive-through with another guy I became good friends with back then.
What year was that you were?
That would have been 96 to 99. Worked there for 3 years, and
so I was still a baby then.
Right. Okay. Well, now I dated myself. Appreciate that. But then afterwards, you know, graduated college, worked for a staffing company for about a year, which is really cool to help me like just kind of figure out people. You know, I always have this saying when I was a manager for quite some time. You know, everybody's going to let you down at some point, right? Right. You know, as a manager, right? Your best guy at one point, he's going to drop the ball on something.
Yeah. So, where'd you go to college at?
Well, so good question. I went to Hill College down in Hillsboro for a year, played soccer there on a scholarship and that kind of stuff, and then went to UTA, graduated from UTA, political science degree. Don't ask me why. I just kind of dug politics at that time and the government and stuff like that. Not so much anymore. But just, you know, played soccer at UTA as well, was involved with the fraternity, all that kind of stuff. Got really involved with everything on campus there at UTA and just really enjoyed my time. And you know, learned a lot, learned from professors, learned from, you know, fraternity brothers, learned from teammates, all that kind of stuff, which kind of projected me into, you know, into my future, right?
Yeah.
So now, in about 2001, I got back into banking. When I was doing the recruiting and stuff like that, my neighbor, my mom's neighbor, she hired me. She said, "Hey, come work for me. Come work for me." I'm like, all right, I'll come work for you. So that all worked out. Ended up getting my investment license pretty quickly after going there, and then just decided to make it a career. So I started out as a banker. was a banker for several years, and then moved into the system manager role, got into learning the management side of it, and hiring people, all that kind of good stuff. And, had some great managers along the way. Majority of them were great. But one of my managers I had for a while, she said, one thing when you become a manager, learn from the managers you had in the past.
Yeah.
Learn what not to do from the bad ones.
Yeah,
learn
they're
what
not
to
here
do.
anymore.
Right. Exactly. And learn what to do from the good ones. And I think that was a really, really valuable lesson early in life.
Yeah. So went to UTA from Chicago, went to UTA, started as a teller part-time, so 2001. So you stayed in banking since 2001 up until now.
2001 to present, all banking.
So for some of you that don't know, Origin Bank is actually who we bank with. We're huge on being from Fort Worth. Obviously, he mentioned Go Frogs. We're at, for those of you that are familiar with downtown Fort Worth, we're at 10th and Summit is where my building is. You'll see the TruckVin.com sign. So we're in the heart of downtown Fort Worth, but TCU is probably, 3 miles from us?
Yeah.
If that. So the stadium, so when it gets packed, I try to get out of here early and shuffle all my salespeople out so I can go to the game. But, we're huge on that. So you spent some time, 2001, teller. When did you move into the senior vice president you were with?
Sure.
Was it PNC or BBVA prior to that?
So a little bit about that kind of path. When, as I mentioned, was a assistant manager, then was a manager for a while.
Okay.
Did that I worked for all three of the big banks. I worked for Bank of America, Chase, and Wells Fargo. So
taste of all three.
Was a big bank guy. and you'll find out a lot of people have worked for Chase at some point. Chase is a great bank for training bankers. You learn how to be a banker at Chase, and then you figure out your direction from there. So anyways, ended up at BBVA, which has now been acquired, but worked for them for almost 10 years.
Wow.
First 5 years was a manager there, and top performer, all that kind of good stuff, and just kind of waited for the right opportunity to come along. Had great relationships, still do, with my manager from back then, and we're on a nonprofit together, all that kind of good stuff.
Wow.
And he was ready to let me go, but we were strategic about it. I didn't know exactly what the next spot was and everything. Spot came available in private wealth, and that just was where I wanted to be. Yeah, it's perfect fit. I had good guys there that were going to be my peers that had already had partnered with in the past, and that's really where I kind of became a lender for right? Just truly lending, opening new accounts. We also did brokerage then, and then. Almost a year and a half ago, I moved over to Origin Bank when they got acquired. Just saw the writing on the wall. Yep. Time to get with, regional size bank, one that can get things done. The bigger you get, that BBVA kind of regional bank.
Yeah.
Started feeling good, getting deals done. Got acquired by a large bank. Got to get back to that regional bank. They think the regional bank is great because you feel the presence of a large bank, but you also have that home feel where you can, where you can get deals done. Last night I had dinner with the number 2 guy, Lance Hall, in our entire company.
Oh, wow.
So, it shows you that big company, I'm not going to get anywhere near somebody that high up in the company, right?
Yeah, they'll shuffle you off to the side. Go sit at that table.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so that was something I had, written down was, a lot of our customers, obviously being trucking based, are, our average customer can be a single truck owner operator to a guy that runs, 3 trucks to 10 trucks, or maybe it's a guy that, runs a couple hundred trucks. And it seems like no matter what, when we go to buy our equipment, probably 90% of it has that payoff.
Sure.
And we see a lot of that, whether it's, big banks like the, ones you just mentioned, or sometimes the regional banks. But some of the questions we get when we go to talk to these guys is, hey, man, what are the factors that influence, where we should be banking or where we should be financing? Because obviously as TruckVin.com, we specialize in only buying trucks, but we try to be that secondary influence. And that's what this podcast is obviously focused on, is what insight can we give a guy not only on just selling his truck, but hey, maybe he's going to buy a truck, or hey, maybe the guy needs help with connections in the insurance, or maybe he needs help in load boards or banking, right? Because obviously money's important for everybody. so he can make a living. But so I guess kind of dive into what are some of the factors that somebody should take into account, and then what are the difference from a small town, one horse bank to a regional bank such as Origin, and then maybe some of the larger banks?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it has to do with who you're working with there, right?
Okay.
And as long as you've got the right person, sometimes the bank doesn't matter. The size doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But what I've found as you start to grow with your clients and things like that, you have to be able to take care of your clients, right? And the biggest thing and the biggest reason I moved banks was now I can service my clients the way I was servicing them before when I was at a regional bank. The regional bank, like I said, gives you the best of both worlds. Mm-hmm. We've got the online banking. We've got all the tools that the big bank has, right?
Exactly.
But I've also got the ear of the right people, right? Mm-hmm. I can get a deal done. If I had to call up, Drake, the head of our company, I'd pick up the phone and call him. I don't necessarily have a need for that, but I've only got two people in between me and Drake, right? So my boss, the regional guy, and then his boss, which is the head of the company, right? Yeah. So a bank of that size, great, because we can get deals done, right? Mm-hmm. We're flexible still. When you get too big, everything has to fit in the box, right? Because you got so much compliance and so much overhead and so much regulation. Mm-hmm. And the banks, when they're in that medium size, they're willing to take some risk, right? The smaller banks aren't able to take as much risk as, they go bad on a $10 million deal. Yeah. That's huge to them. We fit in that nice little spot where we can go up to, $35-40 million in lending. So it just allows us that flexibility, get things done, help the client. As you know, it's all about relationship. I think the biggest thing, if you're looking for a banker, one, they need to have some experience. Mm-hmm. They don't have to have 25 years like I have. Yeah, great, fantastic, whatever.
It helps.
But it helps, right? But you need somebody seasoned, right? You need somebody seasoned so that they know you, they get to know you, know your business, and then when something comes up, you're there to help them, right? Mm-hmm. You and I know we've already dealt in our relationship. Yeah. We've already dealt with the challenge of gas prices going up, right? Yeah. Dealt with that. We dealt with your company growing. We've already taken your facility and almost doubled it. Yeah. And it's about, can we get it done? Can they get it done? And at some point you might get so big that you need X dollar amount of lending, and I go, I got to pass you on, because our bank's not big enough to handle your facility. But right now, we've got that partnership. And you know what? I look forward to that day where I can say, hey, go see XYZ at this big old bank, and he'll take care of you. We got contacts. We've 25 years. I got contacts at any bank, right? But right now we've created this relationship, and it's been awesome. I mean, I was talking to my boss yesterday about coming out and seeing you and doing all the things, and getting in front of you, taking care of you as a client and knowing you personally. I know your family, and that's key, right?
Exactly.
And we can anticipate things, am I helping you with everything that has to do with TruckVin? Yeah, but as something else comes up, you want to move houses, you want to do this, you want to invest in this, or you want to do something outside of normal business, we've got the relationship, right?
Side note, Morgan does want to move houses. She's like, hey, I'm looking for a house. I'm like, okay.
All right. Well, we'll help you with that as well.
Yeah. So obviously some of the factors that influence it, right, is, hey, if it's just a small town bank, if you just need a checking account, savings account, maybe that small town bank, maybe somebody that, is local if you're, a single truck operator, and maybe the guy doesn't want to grow, right? But, for me, I guess in my personal experience, and the reason I asked that is so many of the people that we talk to are outside of the trucking industry. So it's not just trucking. I talk to guys that are in, obviously, real estate. We share some connections there. I talk to guys that are in the logistics business outside of, supply chain, supply and demand, stuff like that. I talk to guys that are in the technology space, and there's so many different factors. I think what I've seen and the little that I know about banks is some banks specialize in certain sectors, right? Like some of the Japanese banks specialize in the technology sector, and somebody like BMO Harris specializes in that transportation finance. It's the largest transportation finance bank in the U.S., or maybe U.S. and Canada. But I think what I find with a regional bank, much like Origin, is prior to this, we had a bank that was out of state, and we would only see the lender maybe once a quarter, if that. And it seems like if the guy's busy out trying to drum up business, you can't get a hold of him. We run into a big deal. We're buying $200,000 W-9s, and I'm like, hey man, there's 20 of them. I need, X amount, and I need to get this deal done quick, because there's so many factors, especially in trucking, that we don't know. There's a million reasons a guy sells his truck. We've seen some of them just this week. Guys are getting out of the business. Maybe there's family, personal matters. Maybe the guy thinks it's a good time to capitalize and get more money than what he paid for the asset. Or whatever the reasons are, but I think being able to act quick, exactly what you said, is huge to not only us, but just to anybody. There's nothing worse than calling a guy 3 times and he's like, you reached my voicemail. It's aggravating. So, I guess, what does kind of Origin specialize in? I know we've made a few payoffs out of a few customers that we have in Louisiana, and I see Origin Bank, and I'm like, yes, because I know I can get my title quick. So, what is it exactly that Origin focuses mainly on? Is there any certain sectors?
I think that we've got a motto here at our bank: treat every client like the only client, right? Okay. And I think that that's something I hope that you feel every single time we talk on the phone.
Yes.
You text me. Do I answer the phone every single time? No. Do I get back to you every time? Right. So, and whenever you and I are talking, you've got my full attention, and I think that that's key, right? Mm-hmm. Are you gonna get that somewhere else? No, because the person's probably isn't skilled at that. Their culture of their bank is not driving that. Our culture is driven by treating everybody like they're the only person. Yeah. It's a one size fits one kind of process, right?
Wow.
Not one size fits all. We're not that. We're not that bank. We never will be that bank. One size fits one, right?
Yeah.
When I'm doing something, it's very specific to you and to your needs, right? And your needs are completely different than any other client I have, as you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the leader of what you do. So I can't even get anybody to be even close to what you do. So I have to make sure that what we're doing for you, matches your needs, that kind of stuff.
Specialized. So cars, boats, houses, real estate, trucking, you'll finance it all.
Yeah, we'll finance it all. And one thing I'd say, if you want to go buy a car at a car dealership, please check with them, see what their rate is. Yeah. Check with a credit union, and you can check with me. We'll tell you if you're just buying, a Camry or whatever. But as you know, you're buying a truck, you're buying these big ticket items. Then we go out of your way to help you and get those things done. So we're not going to be the best rate at everything. That's impossible. We would not be making any money if we're the best rate at everything, because we'd have to beat everybody's prices.
Exactly.
But what we are going to do is we're going to deliver the best service. We're going to take care of you and take care of your needs. And with our company, private wealth is where I came from. I worked with high net worth clients and individuals. And obviously they own businesses, they own assets, things like that. So when I transitioned over here, they're like, okay, and you can do the commercial lending, and you can do C&I, and you can do real estate. So it's been nice. Now I can help my clients with everything, and I'm not the expert at everything, and you know that. Yeah. So sometimes we bring in a partner that helps us with whatever it is, cash management. It helps us to reconfigure a deal to make sure it makes sense and stuff like that. So I like to say that, I'm a master of none, but I know enough to help you out and get you to the right place, bring in the right partners, a connector, really. Yeah. And that's kind of what you are. You're a connector. When your clients come to you, they don't always come to you to sell you a truck. They're like, oh, I'm selling you a truck, but hey, can you help me with your banking? Can you help me with this, right? And we've got the people, we've built the relationships here in the community that we can connect them with the right person to help them with their other needs too, which creates more credibility for ourselves.
So you guys are based in, Louisiana, right?
Yep, Ruston, Louisiana. Okay. So based been around for over 100 years now. So
100 years, wow. Yeah. So you're based in Louisiana. I know you've got branches in Texas. I think you have a few in Mississippi too, right?
Correct. Okay. So obviously based in Mississippi, grew in Mississippi, all that kind of good stuff. But here just recently, we got more assets and more loans in Texas. So that's a good thing.
That's a good, that's a good.
We love it here in Texas. We love the market. Our people in Louisiana love Texas as well. So it's awesome.
I know I was talking to James, and he mentions that his acronym is, there's a 787 plane full of people that come to Dallas-Fort Worth every day. Yep. And when they land, they're not leaving, right? And obviously they're in the real estate space, but I think even some of the trucking stuff too, and that's a lot of where we're finding the 1 to 5 truck guys that we're buying trucks from. And that's not our only source of business, but that is a lot of it. And I think, Dallas, Fort Worth, Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Miami, those are some of the big hot areas for trucking. And those are really places that we find where guys want to get rid of their trucks. But that's good information as far as, finding a bank that really fits your niche. It's not just, hey, let me send it over to the big bank and see what the best rate is, right? Yeah. Because I feel like, I know personally me, I would rather pay a higher rate or pay an additional fee to have a relationship with a guy to say, hey, you know what, I've got, lines of credit with this person. They'll pick up the houses, the cars, the assets, whatever we may have. So a lot of our trucking audience that's seeing this is going to be, some of the smaller owner operators and then some of the bigger trucking companies. And obviously I've mentioned you to numerous of customers. And as, supply chain, lightens, right? You're starting to get your new trucks a little bit sooner. Sure. I was talking to a dealer yesterday and he said, man, even if you ordered it right now, you would probably not get it for at least 9 to 10 months, wow. Right? And this is January of 23, and he's like, we're already sold out for 23. The only chance that you would get it is if somebody canceled. So right. We're still seeing a lot of what we saw in 2022 with supply chain, disruption, a lot of the parts, whether it's microchips that go inside of collision mitigation, whether you can't get tires, rims, whatever it is that may be for the truck right. that they're missing. So we're still seeing a lot of that. So I guess kind of in simplest terms, senior vice president, what exactly is that position? What are you doing? What does your day look like? What does your week look like?
So each week, each day is always a little different, right? Okay. I get up in the morning, check the emails, before I leave the house, of course. Sometimes I'm at the house for an hour responding to clients' needs, right?
Yeah. That's the remote work that everybody looks for.
I'm not a work from home guy. I prefer to be in the office, be around people, that kind of stuff. Okay. But then that means I spend an hour there. Oh, now I'm pulling in the office at 9:30, 9:45, right? Instead of being there at 8:40, 8:30, like some people are, right? It just depends, right? But then I'm also answering the phone after 6 o'clock and on the weekends and stuff like that. That nobody else is. Yeah, when you're texting me at night. Yes, you and I were texting late last night, right? Yeah. And then a lot of clients, I have the doctors and things like that. I can't get a hold of those guys during the day. So they're texting me at night and we're going back and forth over the deals or whatever their next project is. Mm-hmm. They're wanting to buy into practice, things like that, or first thing in the morning because that's when they're available. Yeah. And then the day itself looks like, hopefully I've got 2 or 3 appointments, going out and meeting with clients or meeting with prospects, taking people to lunch, those kind of things. And then we're entertaining people at night. We've got probably have something next Friday to go to with your wife. Yeah. So, and it's about taking care of clients' needs, getting them comfortable, right? Let's go out, let's go have dinner, let's go have lunch, let's go watch a concert, let's go watch a sporting event, let's go do something where I can get to know you and know what your needs are, get to know your business, that kind of stuff. That's what's important, right? Because that's what differentiates me from the other banker that you walk into at a branch and they take your order, right? Yeah. I'm not. I'll take your order. Don't get me wrong. You know that. But also, why am I taking your order? What caused you to come in, or what caused you to text me? Hey, I need X. Mm-hmm. Okay, that triggers this bigger picture, right? Okay, he needs ACH. He needs wires. Why does he need new wires? Oh, he's growing. His business is growing. He's got clients outside of Texas now, or whatever the need is. And it's about getting to know people and getting to really understand them, what makes them tick, what's important to them.
I'm ready to go to one of those concerts.
Yeah, come on.
What was the one you just went to? I saw you went to one concert on Facebook.
We went to see an AC/DC cover band at Tannehill's. So we go to Tannehill's quite a bit. One of Tim Love's new places there in the stockyards, and we just love it. And they're called Back in Black, and then they were really good. I like AC/DC. I had no idea they had so many hits. I'm not a big. Didn't grow up with them, but man, listen to that show. You're like, holy cow! I know almost every single song that they're playing. Yeah, and they had the look. The lead singer looked like the lead singer. The guitarist was doing the footstep bouncing, and it was.
They went all out. Huh?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So we're what are we? 10 minutes from the stockyards. Maybe.
Maybe.
It's cool.
5.
This is a really unique location. I mean, we got TCU right here. We got the stockyards right here. So
absolutely,
we're out there quite a bit. So basically, in simplest terms, what Bill's saying is that it's all relationship based. I think, again, in the time that we've been together, not only does he do our business financing, our business banking, lines of credit, stuff like that, but even some of the personal stuff we've looked at, whether, it's assets, private wealth.
Buying that wife that house she wants.
Yeah. So what are some of the challenges that you've faced, right? Because I know in business, obviously, for some of you that don't know, but if you back up to the end of 2019, I think it was September, I created my first LLC on my own, Stockyard Equipment LLC, which was my retail dealership where we sold semi-trucks to the general public. But, now that I transferred over to TruckVin.com and I had this more grand vision to, hey, how do we buy more equipment and give a customer a better forward-facing experience? I know I had some challenges there, but what are some of the challenges that maybe you faced in the past, or maybe some of the challenges you face now, right? For us, some of the big challenges are, like you mentioned, fuel prices. Mm-hmm. Fuel prices seem like they came down a little bit, and now they're starting to slowly climb back up. And then some of the other stuff is, freight rates, right? And where's the used truck pricing going? Is it going up? Is it going down? So those are some of the challenges. But what have you found in the banking and private wealth sectors?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge for us is interest rates, right? Mm-hmm. They've climbed, doubled, right? Yeah. And what people don't understand who've only been in banking for the last 5-10 years mm-hmm. is, what in the world are we doing? They're scared to death because they've never dealt with this, right? But a banker that's been here for 20, 25 years knows this is normal. 7% is normal, right? So I think that that's a challenge, right? Because mm-hmm. we've gotten everybody so used to this 3.5%, 4% for forever that they think that's normal. And just getting people used to, whether you want to call it a new normal or back to normal, it doesn't matter what you call it. Getting people used to it. We've got deals that work at 5%, 5.5%, that don't necessarily work at 7.5%. So that's what you see in the commercial real estate industry. Like, that's slowing down quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, it's ebb and flows. Like, rates are low, commercial real estate is up. We're doing a bunch of it, just like everybody else is, right? But when interest rates are up, then you're switching over to the C&I stuff, mm-hmm. Business lines of credit, things like that. And people are always like, why? Well, because the line of credit is usually tied to prime, right? So mm-hmm. it might be a little higher than what you're wanting right now or whatever it might be. Yeah. But that's going to go up and down. So if you feel like it's going to come down or you're good, you're not locked into a rate. Where commercial real estate, you're usually locked in for 5 years or more, exactly. Right? So that's why we're seeing the climb in the C&I business, right? Mm-hmm. And then private wealth is always what it is, right? People have money. You borrow from a bank and rich get richer, same kind of deal, right? Mm-hmm. They don't use their own money to get wealthy. They use ours. And so that industry or that sector of the bank is always going to be there. It's always going to be, it's always going to be rocking and rolling. I mean, when private wealth guy buys a Bentley, for his wife for Christmas, that's what we do too. So we'll finance that too.
For any of you that want to finance a Bentley for your wife for Christmas, call Bill.
Call me.
So some of the sectors that you guys will dive into as far as financing, I know a lot of our customers may be, over the road long haul where they're hauling, just maybe dry general freight, maybe they're hauling refrigerated, maybe they're hauling heavy equipment. Will you guys look at like drayage type freight where the guys hauling containers, or will you finance oil field companies that are, maybe they're hauling chemicals, maybe they're hauling heavy equipment, maybe they're hauling, frac pumps? Is there kind of some of those different sectors that you guys will and won't do?
Yeah, so what I think most banks you'll find out, we like, if you're talking about the oil and gas industry, the further away we can get from in the ground, the better, right? So if you're hauling the fuel, great. Well, because what we always like to know is, hey, right now you're hauling fuel. Mm-hmm. If something was to happen in the industry, it takes a dive or whatever, which it happens, it goes up and down. You can take your truck and now drive whatever freight. You can drive cattle, you can drive whatever, right? You have an alternative if needed, right? So when it comes to trucking, we like it all because we know it's kind of recession proof. We're always going to need to haul stuff from one place to another, no matter what. I mean, think about these. Everything's delivered to our door now. So somehow it's got to get to the warehouse, and then it's got to get to our house. So everything's got to be moved, right? Everything's coming in on the ports. How is it getting from the ports to the distribution centers, right? To Target, to Walmart, to Amazon, right? So, so trucking is something that I think our bank and most banks are going to be fairly friendly with that industry for the most part.
I know a couple of banks that we've talked with in the past. I mean, you even say oil and gas, and it's just, no, we won't touch it. I'm like, hey, but you got to understand, like, he's just hauling the chemicals, like, to and from the well site. And they're like, nope, we don't want it. You know?
Yeah, I think what you got to understand, or what people have to understand, is it's kind of like that, right? X bank over here, they got burnt by it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. Well, that credit compliance guy, the one that's actually signing off saying, I do approve this, not the banker, but the guy in the backside that's doing the work, that's saying, hey, this makes sense to the bank. He got burnt by it before. He's going to be a little less likely to say, because he's signed his name out, right? So there's definitely banks that have been burnt by it before, or just scared of it, or whatever reason, right? That's the reality of it all. But then there's also banks out there that specialize in oil and gas stuff. So they might be out in Midland or whatever, but there are definitely banks that specialize in that. If you want to,
well, those guys have been burnt by the oil and gas. I'm
sure it's up and down for those guys.
There's a few of them out there.
You definitely want a wealthy guarantor on that, right?
Sign here, put this up too.
Right.
What things would you attribute most to your success? And 25 years of banking, I mean, that's a long time. That's a long time to spend in banking.
Well,
not just that, but I mean, that's a wealth of knowledge. You know, you've seen the ups and downs, right? From starting from a teller to going to a manager to going to senior vice president to now private wealth. You're seeing everything from a checking account that may have $100 in it to a checking account that may have $100 million in it. And you're seeing the clientele behind that and finding, the solutions of, hey, does this guy just need financing for his Honda Civic that he's going to buy?
Right.
Or, hey, does this guy need, $250,000 to go buy a Bentley for his wife for Christmas because he got bored? So I think with that, that's a lot of experience. It's a lot of knowledge. What things would you say helped you find the most success, right? Some people, have said, hey, maybe it's reading, or maybe it's networking with people, or maybe it's, something I heard. What like top things would you say that you carry with you that made you most successful?
Sure. Yeah. So I think it's part of his growing up. When I grew up, my dad's a hard worker. He was a supervisor at General Motors at parts distribution plant.
Okay.
So a little tie into the automobile industry with you. But and I ended up having an opportunity to go out there and work in the summer when I was in college, and everybody there loved my dad. So it was like he created relationships with people. And when I came out there, I got the benefit, but was a benefactor of it, right? I see that with my kids, my two boys, one's 14, one's 11. The other day we were sitting in the car talking about it, and the brother benefit is what they call it. So my older son was a good kid. My younger one, he's a great kid too, but he's a benefactor because his older brother went through the same teachers. And he was a great student, so he gets the benefit of that. He's automatically a good student until he proves them wrong. So outside of that, I think it's just treating everybody the way they want to be treated, right? I know you and I, we can cut up, we can talk to each other at 9 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning, right? I got other clients that's, I just want to be dealt with during the day. I got other clients that don't want to be dealt with during the day. And it's just getting to know people, right? Taking that time to know them, know their touch points. Every day has a plan. It starts out with a plan. I start out with my plan in the morning, and that plan continues throughout the day. And if I don't start out the day right, and that's before I leave the house, right? Before I leave the house, I have to hit my what I call my core four. If I don't hit my core four, my day's it's off, right? And that allows me to touch the important things in my life, right? Personally, the important things in my life. To speak of the core four, because that's probably the next question. My core four: body, being, business, and balance, right?
What is
so
it?
My body, right? Body. I have to work out, right? Yeah. Whether it's a 15-minute HIIT activity, it's a walk down the street, or it's a 45-minute intense workout or a run, right? Got to get that done. My being. So with me, I grew up Christian, so I got to hit the Bible. So every day I got a little Bible study that I do. And, and then that's kind of gets my mind in the right focus, right? Balance, right? Balance. What keeps me balanced? Well, it's for me, it's my girlfriend of 2.5 years, and it's my kids, right? So every morning they get, because they're not with me all the time, obviously divorced. So every morning, if the kids aren't with me, they get a text from me in the morning just saying, Dad loves you. Sometimes they get a dad joke in there. Sometimes they get a picture of us from the weekend that we spent together, but something little in there that's extra, right? Or it's like this morning, it's, hey, can't wait to see you tonight. I'm picking you up tonight. Excited about it, right? And then I hit the girlfriend up with something, this morning, my message to her was, hey, thanks. It's been stressful. I'm working on 14 different loans right now, which normally I close 3 a month. So I'm busy. I'm stressful. I'm crazy, right? Yeah. So it was like, thanks for being there. Thanks for being my support. Thanks for being my anchor. Sometimes it's like, oh, last night, date night was so great. It was special because the dress you wore. It was special because the kiss they gave me. It was special because we connected with these other friends or whatever, right? Yeah. But something every day so that, one, she knows I pick her and choose her every day. And two, that she knows I'm thinking about her, right? So I start the day out with that, and it leads me in the right direction with her. So then throughout the day, she's like, her mind is set right too. Yeah. That, I'm her guy. Yeah. And then business. So the last piece of business, I listen to podcasts, which this all comes from a podcast, of course, right? Yeah. And then I'd spend time reading a book. So right now I'm rereading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So just picking a book. There's plenty of books out there. But something that's going to help you, whether it's personally or with your job, something to help you every day. And get you going. The podcast motivates me to, look at myself, reflect, and get a focus for the day. And then the book helps me to educate myself to get better. I'm not a big reader. Don't get me wrong. Didn't grow up reading books like crazy, but it's something that I've put in place to educate myself to drive in the right direction.
The body being balanced business.
Correct. Yeah. The core four before the door.
Core four before the door. Yeah. Core four before the door. Yeah. I like that. So I've, here, I don't know, it's probably been the last 6 months or so, but I've tried to do that, commit to 3, right? So every day you wake up, I'll get up, I'll go to the gym, whether I go to Hot Works or I'll go to, Anytime Fitness, right? Depending on what the day is. But, getting up, going to the gym, coming back, get ready for work. And then as soon as I get to the office, it's, doing my journal, right? So I have a journal that top 3 things on the left side is gratitude, right? So give me 3 things that you're grateful for. And maybe something as small as much like you said, I think yesterday, or actually this morning, I just said it this morning, was, having a wife that is supporting me, obviously going into 4 years of entrepreneurship. It is the hardest thing outside of, other family matters that I've had. And doing. I mean, entrepreneurship is incredibly tough. You are literally making an illogical decision to tell yourself, hey, I'm going from a guaranteed salary income, whether you have benefits, 401k, IRA, a nice cozy office that you show up to, and you're like, hey, I'm going to go out in the middle of the Atlantic Sea in a kayak, and I'm going to hope that this thing doesn't turn upside down, because honestly, you're going out to start a business, and especially trucking, there's a huge turnover rate. It's, I think it's close to 70% of trucking companies go out of business in that first 12 months. And it's like, you're taking, money and down payment, and you're obtaining financing, and you're maxing out credit cards for fuel and insurance, and you're having to take care of your bills back home. And my God, it can be stressful. And we get the phone calls, and it just breaks your heart to hear some of these guys. We've had phone calls of guys in tears, and they're just like, man, please help me get out of my truck. I just want to be done. We've had phone calls of guys that are like, man, my truck's going to get repossessed. I need to move inside of a day or 2. to. And we're like, hey, the good thing is our average turn time is 3 days.
Yeah.
Right. So, but with that, it's 3 things of gratitude, right? So today was having a supporting, loving wife that was here going into, another year of entrepreneurship. The next thing was, having the freedom and ability to the podcast, the books, the articles, the networking. LinkedIn is a huge, huge tool. I mean, I connect with a lot of people in the trucking industry, but guys outside of that too, right? Who do I know, or who do I know that they know that I could connect with? Something as simple as, hey, this guy's in real estate, but hey, he knows this guy that was a recruiter at this large firm, and he can help me network to find some of the open positions. Or hey, maybe I can take this guy and go network with him, and he knows another place where we can connect with some of the large trucking companies. But so it's the 3 gratitude, 3 things we're thankful for. The next one is, what is my vision for today, right? So giving exact clarity of, hey, this is the exact thing I have to do. So for today, it was creating the remaining podcast schedule for all of February, some of the notes, right? And then it breaks out your hours, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., et cetera. And that helps me stay structured, because my entire staff here knows, as an owner, you're dealing with much more than just sales, right? You're dealing with the sales, you're dealing with finance, you're dealing with the marketing team, you're dealing with all of the aspects. So it keeps me, if it's not on that journal, I'm not getting it done. But I can check them off each hour. And then on the right-hand side of the journal, it has a question, right? Today was, what 3 words describe you and why, right? So I wrote down persistence, courageous, and impatience, right? and kind of in short was impatience, right? I'm very impatient. If I ask for something to be done from my staff, I expect them to do it right away. It's like, hey, I asked you 30 seconds ago. Right? Not literally, but I think having the impatience has helped tremendously, because you've got to be able to make a decision fast. If somebody calls me and they're like, hey, we've got 35 2021 W900s, here's where we need to be, here's when they're ready, I need to make a decision then.
Right.
Does it work or does it not work? Persistence, anybody that's in sales, you can feel this from the core of your heart, and even you can. Persistence, it's consistent phone calls, it's email, it's text, it's marketing, it's LinkedIn. It is consistent. You will hear no more times than not, and you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Right. That is one of the best sayings I've ever heard, is get comfortable being uncomfortable. Sure. And if you're not comfortable with somebody telling you no, you're not comfortable with hearing, no, we already work with X, or you're not comfortable hearing, no, that's not going to work for us, don't call us back, then it's going to be very tough to stay inside of anything, especially a business that's related around sales or supply chain or whatever it is. And then obviously the next piece was courageous, and that goes back to putting that kayak in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and just start paddling, because you've got to have some courage, and you've got to be able to believe in yourself and know enough that, hey, for me, when I started back in 19, I was like, okay, I know 2 guys that I can call right now that'll give me just this much advice. They were like, hey, do this, this, this. Okay, cool. Now let me start calling some companies and see what they have for sale that I may be able to buy. And then obviously that just falls into a cycle of setting, hey, what do I have working right now? What do I have working next week? What do I have working next month? And setting your follow-ups inside of that. So that's awesome. Core 4 for the door. So I guess the last question, right? So advice for a 25-year-old you. What's the most important things that you carry with you each day? And I'll tell you, mine is, I've heard it from numerous people. It's don't get wrapped up in the material things. You can't take things with you. You can only take experiences. And that's something, obviously, is a lot of business owners are, well, you're listening to this on, iTunes or, Spotify or Amazon podcasts, or maybe you're watching the video here on YouTube. But, things that I carry with me are, what experiences did I have when I leave this earth? What can I carry with me? What did my wife think of me? What did my kids think of me? What interactions did I have? Was I able to call Bill and say, hey, man, I really need your help on this deal because it's going to take me to the next level, and have that experience, versus saying, hey, I've got 10 cars out there and boats and et cetera, et cetera. So what would you tell your 25-year-old self that's most important to carry with you future success.
Man, I got a couple things because you prepped me for this. One, I'm gonna skip my order here and tie into one that goes exactly with what you're saying. Mm-hmm. People are gonna forget what you said. Mm-hmm. People are gonna forget what you did, but they won't forget how you made them feel.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So you and I have had this relationship for time.
Yeah.
You know how I make you feel, and I know how you make me feel, right? Mm-hmm. I know that I trust you, and I know that we can talk about highs, lows of your industry. Mm-hmm. We can take highs, lows of marriage. We can take highs, lows of whatever, right? Yeah. But because we've got that feel, right? Mm-hmm. And what we said then, we might not remember the exact words.
Yeah.
We might remember exactly where we were or any of that stuff, but we know how it made us feel, right?
Exactly.
So super important. Establish a morning routine, right? You've got one. Mm-hmm. I've got one. They're all going to look different. Mine's not the right one for you, or maybe it is. Yeah. But establish some kind of morning routine, right? Mm-hmm. Get your butt out of bed. And, the funny thing is, this morning, I wasn't running late, but I was running close to it.
Yeah.
I talked to my boss twice on the phone. We're trying to hammer out a deal. I didn't expect those calls in the morning. So I'm like, I'm running behind. Yeah. I almost left without making my bed. I was like, I'm not going to make my bed. Crap. My boys are coming over tonight. Mm-hmm. I always make my bed. I always require them to make their bed.
Yeah.
If they come into the house tonight and they see my bed's not made, what example do I set?
Exactly.
Right? So simple things is, this is what I do every morning. Do them. Get it done, right? Get it done every day. What else? Be intentional, right? We talked a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. Whenever I'm meeting with you, working with you, be intentional, right?
Yeah.
And it's a one size fits one matter, right? I gotta figure out what your points are, what you need. Get that done, right? Mm-hmm. Meet your needs, right? Not mine. Mine are put mine out of the way. As long as I'm helping you and taking care of you, my company will reward me for that in whatever way they do, right? And another thing is, if you've got a little bit of drive on the way to work, I don't. I live 2 miles from here and I work less than a mile that way, right? So, but if you got time on the way to work, find a podcast, find something that motivates you, gets you going in the morning. My motivation, I like a guy yelling and cussing at me, telling me to get your shit done, right? Yeah. That's what I like, right? Yeah. Somebody else might want some, butterflies and rainbows, and that's fine. Just find something that motivates you, right? And some people might need, that might be your time to listen to a Bible verse, or might be your time to essentially meditate on the way to work, right? Get your head right? Find something to either get your head right or get you focused on that day, moving forward. And I think the last thing is and this appeals to you, probably appeals to everybody. We're all in the hospitality business, right? Mm-hmm. It's whether we choose to be in it or not, right?
Exactly.
We don't run a hotel. We don't run a restaurant. We're in a business to serve people, right? And as long as we can serve people and do right by them, you're always going to be successful, right? Put the other person's needs in front of your own, and that goes into personal stuff. Put your wife in front of yourself, put your kids in front of yourself, things like that. If you can put other people first in your personal life and your business life, you'll always be successful.
Yeah, I think being intentional is such a huge thing. I know personally, I found very early on I was trying to juggle with so many different things, and I was like, man, do I want to stop what I'm doing and take this phone call from this customer that's calling me back? I'm already in the middle of, typing up a purchase agreement, and, I need to call the bank and do this. But being intentional is such a huge piece, and I think that goes with the hospitality because, all of the phone calls that we have here, much like your bank, are recorded, and we want to make sure we're not recording them just to say we recorded them. We want to record them where we can say, hey, where can we add in the quality control? Where can we add in making that person feel like a person? I'll end on this is perfect example. We had a guy named, we'll just say John. Mm-hmm. John called in. John was in a very bad position. John said, hey, look, my truck's up for repossession. Here's where it's at. The lender's already contacted me. They're willing to talk with you guys. And we were able to set up a settlement for John. We got the truck taken care of, inspected. It was a beautiful truck. Mm-hmm. The loads didn't work out like he thought they would. His income didn't work out. He had one major repair that wiped him out. And we said, John, look, here's the option. We'd love to work with you. he was able to get in contact with his bank, and we got the deal done in 3 days. He called us on Monday. Wednesday at, I think, 3:30, my transport company called out and went and picked it up. John called back that following Monday and referred us to a guy that runs 88, 89 trucks.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, hey, call this guy. He's got 12 trucks that just dropped.
Yeah.
Right. But we were intentional. We were hospitable to say, hey, John, look, we understand the position that you're in. We want you to understand we're a person first. Look, even if I can't help you, I want you to know that I'm a person, right? And, you know, it goes back to what Warren Buffett says. It can take 20 years to make a reputation and 20 minutes to ruin it. But that goes to reviews is, you know, Google reviews, Better Business Bureau, Facebook. I encourage everybody to look at them. But, you know, today we spent some time with Bill Kresser from Origin Bank, Senior Vice President, private wealth banker right here in Fort Worth, downtown. What was it, downtown office?
Yeah, downtown, yeah. Right Throckmorton and 7th.
So Throckmorton and 7th.
Throckmorton and 5th. Throckmorton
5th, 7th, close enough. But appreciate having you on, spending some time with you. If you guys are interested in, maybe you're financing a single truck, maybe you're financing a group of trucks, you're waiting on new trucks to come in, and maybe they're getting here soon, or private wealth questions, anything, we'll make sure that down below we link all of Bill's contact information. But Bill Kresser, Origin Bank, thanks for being here.
Appreciate you.
You've been listening to the TruckVin.com podcast with Zach Ellis, your go-to source for up-to-date insights on the trucking industry. Remember, when you're ready to sell, call America's foremost truck buyer at 855-TRUCK20 or visit TruckVin.com. Join us next time for the TruckVin.com podcast.